Hi everybody, a friend on Twitter has sent me this link and it's really important. It does actually connect with the video that I've only just uploaded today, so it'll be if you go onto my channel, my YouTube channel, you'll see my latest click videos and you'll see my latest videos. The one before this video is directly linked to that in terms of exposing the concern that the December 2019, December 12th general election in Britain was rigged. And we have to face the facts of it. Okay, now we've got what you might call circumstantial evidence, where you witness the reality of our own eyes and our own lived experience. We know what is real and what is unlikely to be real. So it's very unlikely that a man as popular as Jeremy Corbyn, the most popular political figure in Britain since Churchill, okay, even more popular than Churchill, that he could lose an election by a landslide, right? And that a man as unpopular as Boris Johnson could win an election by a landslide. I mean, that alone, and especially from a party that's offering us 50 years austerity and whose manifesto was basically privatising the NHS, trashing our economy and delivering us 50 years austerity with a hard Brexit, and actually criminal, illegal, unlawful Brexit. Oh, and promising and pledging to scrap our human rights on top of that as well. I'm sorry, I don't care. A nation does have its stupid or confused people who will vote for total tyranny. Okay, there is always going to be that element within every nation, but not by a landslide, and not from a nation that's been going through 10 years austerity that has killed over 200,000 British people by 2020, December 2020, 200,000. Already, you know, we know by 2017, 120,000 were dead. That's the official figure. Okay? Now, we have to accept the fact that this GE was rigged. It was rigged by a criminal government working in cahoots with criminal foreign powers. They're acting as an agent of those foreign powers, and even the City of London itself is actually a foreign power within Britain because they are acting as an agent for the Crown, corporate Crown's offshore territories, which are not part of Britain. They've got nothing to do with Britain. They're a private corporate entity belonging to the corporate Crown. Okay, and most of the financial dealings in central London that want to protect themselves from EU tax regulations and EU lawful scrutiny on all their illicit, criminal, fraudulent, money laundering front businesses. Okay, that's who Brexit is about. That's who they want to protect. And anything else, you know, people saying, oh, well, it's about immigrants. Since when did this government care about what the British people on the ground want? They really couldn't give a toss. But if it serves their purposes, yes, they will pick up on it. Oh, all right. Oh, you people are worried about immigrants. All right, then let's vote for Brexit and get out of the EU and end immigration. But it's got nothing to do with that. It is about protecting London City's interests and the corporate Crown's interests, all of which amount to foreign nations, because London City is a separate state within Britain. That's not a conspiracy theory. That is a conspiracy fact. London, that square mile of central London, is not part of the state of Britain. It is an independent state. And as I've stated in my previous video, if they want to leave the EU, you leave the EU, we'll build a hard border around that square mile. But now we do need to focus on the facts that this general election, we have lawful suspicion to suspect that it was rigged enough to arrest every member of this government that's sitting there, the criminal cabal occupying number 10 right now. Okay? That's the fact of it, because here is the lawful evidence, and this person has evidence, everything here for us, all the links, everything. It appears we have been royally screwed by Boris Johnson and the Conservatives in this last election, with new facts coming to light on a near daily basis that only makes my crazy conspiracy theory more plausible. Now bear with me as I go through some details with you. All are facts which I encourage each and every reader to go out and discover for themselves. It's all available online with a bit of digging. First up, today's revelation. iDocs plc, a private company with shareholders mostly made up of American asset and financial management companies, is apparently responsible for the oversight, distribution and counting of 90% of the country's postal votes. And here's all the sources. Hallarose, a company iDocs acquired in 2017, was conveniently shut down when the comments about electoral fraud cropped up after this most recent election. So as soon as the election was over, they shut down. And here we are, the iDocs shareholders, Companies House, one of the directors for a UK holdings branch company which shares in iDocs, even has the same surname as our Prime Minister. Coincidence? Maybe. It's possible there are lots of Johnsons out there. I've not been able to confirm a connection or not, but it's still an interesting point. No, I can find no other record of a Boyd, but there are records online about a BOYD, which, given the net connection to Soros, seems a likely candidate. iDocs board of directors, like most limited companies, most of which were only appointed between August 2018 and March 2019. So they were only appointed for a year. In fact, only one person remained from their previous board, and he's been there since 2013. Now, the other interesting thing to note about this company is that Peter Lilly, a Conservative MP and Deputy Leader of the Conservative Party until his appointment to the House of Lords in 2018, was also an iDocs director from 2002 to April 2018, right before his ascension to the Lords. Why would anyone think it is acceptable for a private company there to make a profit for the shareholders with such obvious ties to a political party, any political party, anywhere near counting votes? Well, it looks even more suspicious when it seems the first election iDocs used their systems for was the 2014 independence referendum, when the Conservative MP was still a director, where they were used in Scotland. And in just 2014, David Cameron sent a letter out to everyone on the electoral register telling them to sign up for postal voting. And, there's huge suspicions related to the Scottish referendum. I mean, we've actually got video evidence of rigging during the Scottish referendum. And still nothing's been done. We've got thousands of postal votes registrations being denied in Northern Ireland. Suddenly, it makes sense how Conservative MP Dominic Raab and Conservative Chief Propagandist Laura Kusenberg can claim to have knowledge of postal vote results even before the election, when electoral law dictates the postal votes are not opened or looked at until the polling stations close at 10 p.m. on election day. And here you are, the links, we've all seen them. Laura Kusenberg on BBC TV, it's looking really bad. The postal votes are looking really bad for Labour. This is the day before the general election. I can understand the bias to an extent from most print newspapers and the news channels, which all report to offshore billionaires who don't want to have to pay more taxes, or some of them even end up in jail for the fake money laundering businesses that they've got registered here. But you would expect better from the BBC, wouldn't you? They are our national broadcaster, paid for by our licence fees, to provide the UK with relevant and accurate news. No shareholders or billionaires to please. So we should be able to expect the truth, right? Wrong, apparently. Since Jeremy Corbyn's election to Labour leader in 2015, the media has embarked on a vicious smear campaign against a good man. The key weapon in this attack has been the anti-Semitism claims, which, if you look at the facts, are not really supported. Well, in fact, they're not supported at all. There are many articles, open letters and comments out there from a wide variety of people, a lot of them Jewish, who make this very claim. There are simply too many accusations of anti-Semitism to go into each one individual, but each and every one is based on spurious claims or tenuous links that might possibly be considered racist or anti-Semitic if you looked at them from a specific perspective and ignored everything else in context. Like, for example, if you criticise Zionist criminal actions against the people of Palestine and complain about it, is that anti-Semitic? What's interesting here is that the media lapped up these claims, all the while completely ignoring any dissenting voices. Not one of Jeremy Corbyn's many Jewish supporters were ever interviewed, not even the author of the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism when that entered the argument. How is it? How is it that they were feeding the public, constantly reiterating this anti-Semitism lie against Corbyn, but they're not prepared to interview any of the greater majority of Jews who support Jeremy Corbyn and know for a fact that the man is not anti-Semitic? Why were the BBC biased? Corbyn's entire life has been driven by the search for peace. His voting record consistently shows this, along with support for the working class, regardless of race or religion. He has constantly upheld the values of tolerance, compassion and understanding, and the media vilified him for it. His entire life has been driven by the search for peace. It reached the point where pensioners were literally being attacked and hospitalised for daring to hold pro-Labour views. I'll bet you never saw that on the BBC. I also bet you did not hear about the slight vandalism of some of the Conservative candidates had to endure with their signs being sprayed painted. But yes, I bet we did hear about that, didn't we? We heard about the poor Conservative candidates having their signs being spray painted. Balance and impartiality, what are they? Pensioners attacked and hospitalised for holding pro-Labour views. What is going on in this country? I tell you now, people, you keep quiet and stand there moaning and groaning and sharing your moans and groans on Twitter and Facebook. I tell you now, you will be suffering bad if you do not stop this nonsense now in its tracks and remove this criminal election rigging government from office right now. And we will have to do in Iceland to do it, because this Labour Party, the decapitated Labour Party, isn't going to do it for us. The Liberals aren't going to do it for us. The Green Party's not going to do it for us. It looks like the civil service and MI5 and our police are not going to do it for us unless we are prepared to come out in force and show them our strength of support and power, and we the people empower our security services and our civil service and our police and military to act now to defend our nation and remove these criminal fascists from office. Or expect to become Nazi Germany. Expect to see ghettos in Britain. Expect to lose your homes, your jobs, your rights, everything. No NHS, your welfare system will be a factory prison. Expect no retirement, no pension. You work till you're 70, and in fact the vast majority of us with no adequate healthcare system will have dropped dead long before then. It is outrageous, and I've shared it before, I'll share it again. They're all working for these. These are the people, these Zionist alleged Jews, okay, who claim that they have the entitled to violate the sovereign law of foreign countries and even ignore the directive in international law in any field that they desire. So therefore, yes, they're perfectly capable of coming into Britain by their agent, being allowed in by their agent, Boris Johnson, agent of foreign powers, hostile foreign powers. Oh, come into Britain, rig Britain's election for us. Donald Trump, I am a Zionist, same crew he's with. Oh, come into Britain, Mossad. Come into USA, Mossad. Rig the USA election for us. We'll blame it on the Russians at the end of the day. Okay? Because that's the narrative of the mainstream media at the moment. I'm not saying Russia hasn't got anything to do with it, either in Britain or America. But the prime fundamental beneficiaries of a Trump government and a Boris Johnson government here in Britain is Israel. There's no getting away from it. Zionist Israel. And I say that without criticising Israel as a nation, without attacking Jewish people. Okay, I say that as a matter of fact. And the matter of fact is that Israel is breaking the law, is breaking international law, and has committed crimes against humanity. Those are the facts. Now, we have all these facts here that tell us in no uncertain terms that Brexit is a criminal enterprise on behalf of protecting criminals. And we need to challenge it. I have a friend that works in the Royal Mail sorting office in Northampton, and apparently the postal votes for this election are still in there. He's in the process of making a complaint. Well, is the BBC going to cover news like this? Who is there to protect us? And now it's a big wake-up call for the British people, who are actually a very docile, compliant, apathetic public. Probably the most docile and apathetic in the whole of Europe. Britain are the least politically active people. France, look at them. They're out en masse because, they're having the retirement age raised by 2 years. Okay. Britain, look what we're facing. Look what we're facing. The people of Iceland, they came out, said no to the banking bailout that's dumped a debt of £60,000 on the head of every single British citizen. Okay, we're all £60,000 plus more by now in debt directly through this banking crisis. That the people of Iceland said no, we're not responsible for bailing out the corporate banks. They said no. We've been through 10 years of austerity. 200,000 of us are dead. They want to kill how many more hundreds of thousands now to protect their criminal, fraudulent, money laundering businesses and their tax breaks. The profits flowing to the tax havens earned from every single crime imaginable being committed on this planet, including crimes against children and human trafficking. And we're going to vote to become a nation to protect those, a nation in service to a set of criminals, and all on the strength of a rigged election when we have such strong evidence as is shared here. All the links, as I say, these are facts. These aren't conspiracy theories. Go and look at the evidence. Look at the facts. People, look at your child and think about their future. We brought these children into this world. We have a responsibility. As our grandparents and great-grandparents before us fought for this country, for their children, to give their children a future that they could not even imagine. My granddad had never experienced an NHS. He'd never experienced living in a full democratic nation. He'd never experienced the abundance that we have had in Britain since we joined the EU. But he gave his life for that. for people like me. And and that's why I'm standing up now and speaking out for the next generation. And we all need to do it. And we will need to stand out in every town, in every city, across Britain. Until we get action and get this government arrested. Because we need investigations now into exactly what has been going on. Because I tell you one thing is for sure. This Parliament is illegal. And that this landslide victory is evidence, lawfully evidence, as being rigged. And we're going to sit back and allow them to take us into their illegal, criminal, hard Brexit that is a crime against Britain and the British people on the strength of a lawfully suspected rigged election? No, 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 no. People, please, see sense, see sense. Whether you voted for Brexit or not, stand up for your children's rights.